ADHD. Those 4 letters changed my life forever. Now this video isn't going to be like my normal eBay or Amazon or money making related videos. This video is going to be personal and it's going to be raw, talking about me and my ADHD. So if you clicked on this video thinking it's going to be about eBay, Amazon, money making, and you're sorely disappointed, that's okay. I will catch you on the next video. But if you want to stick around and listen to my story about ADHD, thank you so much in advance. This is the most important video I have ever made. So all my life, I have thought that I am different. And that has been reinforced by people telling me that I am different and telling me that I think and act in different ways to how everyone else does. And I've always known that deep down, yes, I am different, but never knew what it actually was. Last year, my wife suggested that I took a ADHD quiz online, and my gut reaction was, I wasn't thrown out of the school, I didn't throw bricks through the window, why am I taking an ADHD test? I don't have ADHD, obviously, because that's what my misguided stigma of ADHD was. However, the more I researched into it and taking that test saying you're very likely to have ADHD made me start realizing and connecting all of the dots together that actually this is potentially the thing that makes me different. So I go to my doctor like anyone does. If you think something's wrong, think something's different, you go to your GP, right? They, without confirming it, say you tick every single box of ADHD. However, we are not clinically trained to give you an official diagnosis or help you in any way whatsoever. The wait list for that diagnosis is 3 to 5 years. And at that point in my life, things were falling apart. So they put me on some CBT therapy and some other courses to learn about ADHD. None of it helped because none of it was a diagnosis, and that's what I needed. Fast forward to the beginning of this year and things again had got worse and worse in my own personal life, and I needed to change something, otherwise I was going to break. So with the help of my parents, I went down the private route, and I know not everyone is in a fortunate position to do that, so I am extremely thankful that I did. And it cost me £750 to get diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, the combined type. So I have both inattentive and hyperactive ADHD. Now I'm going to read a little extract from my 20-page official diagnosis. In the raw scores, Samuel scored severe symptomatic 99th percentile in the inattentive scale, and also marked severe symptomatic 99th percentile for hyperactivity scale as well as the impulsivity scale. So when I say I have ADHD, I got it good and bad. Getting that diagnosis and that 20-page document was the start of a new me and a change of my entire life. However, the flood of emotions that followed of anger and frustration and mourning and questions and confusion of how have I got to this stage in my life, and it has never been picked up on, and now it is, and then starting to realize that it explains so much in my life and how things could have been different and how different my life is going forward, all hit me at once reading through that document. And I'm still processing that. It's not something that you can process very quickly, being told that the way that you've thought your entire life is completely different to everyone around you and the world that we live in. Because the world we live in isn't built for someone that is neurodiverse. It has explained so much about my childhood and teenage years and uni and my relationships and how I am with people and my career. it has explained so much of the good and so much of the bad. And it's nice to say that I'm finally on a place of starting to learn about myself and how I am and how I can maximize all the good stuff about ADHD and how I can effectively deal with all of the potentially negative stuff with ADHD as well. Now you may be thinking, what actually is ADHD? And it's very difficult to explain because a lot of the ways ADHD presents itself is very, very similar to what a neurotypical person goes through. The difference is, for me, I am 0 or 100. There is no in between. So if I have something or it presents in a very extreme way. But because of all of those presentations are something that anyone can go through, there is a large stigma around ADHD. As I mentioned, I have the combined type, which is both inattentive and hyperactive. And the hyperactiveness is both physical and mental. And for me, more so, it is the mental, despite me playing with a Rubik's Cube whilst filming this. My mind is I want to say crazy, but I don't want to put negative connotations on myself or anyone else that may or may not have ADHD, but the way it works is ridiculous in terms of its speed, about how it reacts to things and how it processes information and how I get obsessed and I'm always thinking. The best way that I can describe my mind is that I have multiple versions of me in my head, all talking and all arguing with each other at once, so that when I get asked a question, I already know the answer or potential answers or what my opinion is and can formulate responses very quickly and articulate myself quite well. But in times where I can't do that, I struggle and lose focus. And that constant voices in my head becomes very overwhelming. Imagine if I was asking you to count up numbers. 5, 7, 16, 33. You need to keep adding up all these numbers, but behind you, there are 10 different people shouting random numbers in your ear. That's what my mind's like. So it could be, I need to go and list this thing on eBay, or I need to go and wash up downstairs. But then there are 10 other voices in my head going, you should also do this, you should do this, why don't you think you could do this better? And it's all over the place. And sometimes that can be phenomenal because of how my brain works. It has helped me incredibly well in my working life, but it also has been crippling to the state of paralysis for me, where I overthink too much and physically can't do something. Prime example of that. This month is ADHD Awareness Month, and at the beginning of this month I said to myself, I want to make this video and put it out there for me and in the hope that I can raise some awareness and break some of the stigmas around ADHD. And I've been battling with myself about starting making this video all month long, and we're at the last weekend of October right now, and I'm only just starting to film it because I've been overthinking about it and how am I going to do it and how is it going to come across and what is the best way to do it. And now it's crunch time and there's a deadline, there's only a few days of the month left. I'm making myself do it because there's added pressure. With regards to the other forms of hyperactivity, I talk a lot. If you don't tell me to shut up, I won't. And I will just keep talking or waffling. I tell stories in very different ways, as you're probably learning from this video. I act incredibly quickly on thoughts that I have without giving it thorough, detailed analysis. And that can be, again, really good and really bad. That can be, I'm quitting my job to go Amazon full time and I don't care about the risks because I know I'm going to make it. Really good thing. That could also be, I've just come home from the gym, on the way home, but I'm really hungry. I've done all this good work, and then before I know it, I'm in a McDonald's drive-thru because I'm hungry. And that's led to addiction in my life, which I've battled with for a decade. But now I understand why I've had addictions and issues in the past and will undoubtedly have them again in the future. I cannot stop myself from interrupting people in conversations, and that comes across as extremely rude. But the reason I do it is because I need to tell you that thing in my head about the story that we're talking about, or the thing we're talking about, because if I don't, I will forget about it. It will be gone, or I will hold it in and hold it and hold it in, and if I don't say it, I won't focus on what you're talking about. And that comes across as really rude. Likewise, the inattentiveness, about paying attention and focus and being easily distracted. When I'm talking to someone, it's really difficult for me to hold eye contact with someone because sometimes I need to look away to really listen on what that person's saying. But again, that comes across as rude. My working memory is horrific. If I don't have a list of what I need to achieve on a day, I achieve nothing. Everyone has the experience of getting into the car or leaving the house and going, oh no, I left my wallet or I left my headphones or whatever it is in the house and need to go back and get there. But mine is on the extreme where I can't form routines. So I often forget to brush my teeth in the morning, and that's not uncommon with people with ADHD. Forgetting really, really simple and obvious things that people take for granted is realistic with ADHD. I forget to eat sometimes, and considering I'm overweight, that's pretty ironic and bad that I can forget to eat until it's dinner time. As I say, there have been a lot of positives to my ADHD, and looking back on my life, I can attribute a lot of positive things to that, but I can also attribute a lot of negative things. It's also really important for me to talk about how I'm dealing with ADHD. So since my official diagnosis, I've been putting a lot more emphasis on myself in terms of how I look after myself. I've always struggled with my weight and eating and regular exercise, and I'm doing what I can to improve that over time, learning to cook and eat better for myself, going to the gym as consistently as possible, taking vitamins and minerals in the morning. The problem is, remembering to do all of those things is very difficult. But it would be a failure if I didn't mention to you that I am medicated for my ADHD. Over the last 4 or 5 months, I've been on a triation period for my ADHD of medication, playing around with the dosages. And I feel confident now that I'm at a dosage that hopefully will work for me in the longer run, which is great. And what it does is it quiets my mind and allows me to focus. The buzz that you get from getting a cup of coffee in your system and allowing you to sit down and focus on work is what I get from this stimulant medication. It quiets my mind and allows me to work and not be distracted. It doesn't fix everything, but it helps. Does everyone with ADHD need medication? No. Can people treat their medication with breath work and cold showers and a good positive routine and eating healthily and talking to a psychiatrist and going to therapy? Absolutely. I want to get to a stage in the future where I don't have to be on medication and can manage it that way, but right now it works for me, and that's really, really important. Now, you may be wondering, what is the point of this video? Why am I talking about it? As I mentioned earlier, it's ADHD Awareness Month, and if this makes the difference in one person's life out there that has a family member with ADHD, or it's someone who's sitting here watching this video and can relate to me because they've got it or have similar symptoms, and it makes a difference in their life, then it's absolutely worth it. Part of me moving forward and working on myself is letting people know around me that that's how my head works, and being honest with people so that if I do these things which are considered rude and abnormal, there's an understanding and I can communicate with people around that. There is so much content out there on social media about ADHD, and it's a minefield. You've got TikToks going, raise a finger if you've got this, you might have ADHD, etc., etc., etc. There's podcasts, there's YouTubes, there's blogs, there's so much content out there. And for me personally, the thing that's really helped is listening to people's lived experiences. So that's why I'm trying to share mine. If you care, ADHD Chatter podcast, really good podcast. A wide range of guests on there talking about how ADHD affects them, how they've channeled all of the good stuff about ADHD, and how they've tackled all of the downsides of ADHD. If you are someone who thinks that you have ADHD, I'm not a doctor, I cannot diagnose you, but I would strongly advise you go and talk to a doctor, because at least you can start the process and try and move forward. I'm more than happy to answer any questions about my ADHD in the comments. And if you want it, I'll do a full Q&A video about ADHD and how it's affected me. Will it take over this channel? No. Will it explain to you where sometimes I upload a video and then don't upload a video and then do weird camera angles and do weird stuff in my videos? Yes. Does it make me a bad person? No. It makes me me. And I'm on a journey right now of carving my future for myself and my family in a world where it's not set up for a neurotypical person. But I'm working through it and building my own life. Amazon, eBay, Next Level, YouTube. It allows me to be my own boss, channel all of the good stuff about ADHD, channel the creativity, channel the impulsivity of, oh, there's a deal on, I'm going to go to all of these different Tesco's, I'll see you in 4 hours. It allows me to work at 2 a.m. in the morning if I need to. It allows me to have a lie-in if my wife and kid will allow it, which doesn't happen. But that flexibility is there because I've created it in the life around me. And I'm going to keep creating that and keep moving forward and keep improving. I honestly don't know how to end this video, but if you have made it this far, I genuinely really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. So thank you. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'm sure it is chaotic and a jumble, hopefully a little bit entertaining and a little bit educational. But ironically, that's kind of how my head works. And this video might be a visual representation of that. That's it.